Zordon, the Power Rangers are in trouble.
If you grew up in the 90s, you're probably familiar with this iconic robot, Alpha 5, main assistant to Zordon and friend of the Power Rangers. But have you ever wondered what happened to Alphas 1 through 4? Alpha is thousands of years old and is well-traveled with many friends and connections across the galaxy. He is originally from a planet called Edenoi, where he was created by King Lexion. This was a Season 3 tie-in with the failed series The Masked Rider. The Masked Rider's first appearance is in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers' 3-part episode arc, A Friend in Need. This was always an odd arc for me because it's technically the pilot of Season 3, but takes place before the Ninja Quest, which is the true spiritual start of Season 3's main plotline. It feels very slapped on, and that's because it is. Power Rangers is an adaptation of a Japanese show called Super Sentai, which is from the tokusatsu genre. Tokusatsu is a genre popularized in Japan, and the word means special filming, and refers to effects-driven media involving costumes, stunts, fights, and giant monsters. Having had such success with Power Rangers, Chaim Saban, the owner at the time and creator of Power Rangers, wanted to multiply that success with other adaptations from the tokusatsu genre. We see that with Masked Rider, an adaptation of Kamen Rider, which only lasted 1 season, 40 episodes, and Big Bad Beetleborgs, an adaptation of Juku B-Fighter, which made it to 2 seasons and 53 episodes. In A Friend in Need, the Rangers travel to the planet of Edenoi because Alpha is concerned for his father, King Lexion, after seeing the planet under attack on the galactic scanner. The Rangers meet and assist the Masked Rider, aka Prince Dex, in his fight against Count Dragon, and meet Alpha's maker. This gives us ultimately little information about Alpha 5, other than knowing his home planet. We know that he has traveled, made friends with a Lyrian wizard named Larigo, as established in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, and teamed up with Zordon in his adventures and eventual war against Rita Repulsa 10,000 years ago. Since then, Alpha and Zordon have been on Earth preparing the command center for the day the Power Rangers would be needed again. Alpha stays on as main caretaker to the Power Rangers all the way through Season 5, Turbo, when he and Zordon travel back to Zordon's home planet of Eltar. They are replaced by Demetria and Alpha 6, a rude and unhelpful robot with an annoying attempt at a Brooklyn accent who is presumably also from Edenoi. In the season finale of Turbo, there is a battle on Eltar where Zordon is captured, and what happens to Alpha 5 is not said. However, he is never seen in the series again, save for in flashbacks or on recordings. Since he and Zordon were so close, it is theorized that Alpha was killed in this battle. I personally am just gonna pretend he's off in a galaxy somewhere vacationing, because that is what he deserves. Now's as good a time as any to show the original designs for Alpha from the unaired Mighty Morphin Power Rangers pilot episode. A special thanks to Henshin Grid for keeping up the Power Rangers lore documenting for years. And as we all know, in that pilot episode, Zordon was called Zoltar.
How can you be sure, Zoltar?
You may have guessed when I mentioned Alpha 6 that there are several more Alphas who appear throughout the show. But before we get to 6 through 9, 69, who is Alpha 1? To answer this question, we have to go to the comic books. Boom Comics has written a rich and full world of Power Rangers lore, but you have to keep in mind that due to some alternative retellings, the TV show and comics are not technically canon to one another. They are both canon to the official Power Rangers LLC, just not to each other, which is interestingly also how the 1995 and 2017 movies work. The only piece of non-TV show canon that is connected to the TV show is Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. But there is no Alpha 1 in the show, so in this case, it's more fun to talk about all the Power Rangers lore together. Alphas were created on Edenoi as combat robots, and Alpha 1 was specifically programmed to assist Zordon in his war against Rita Repulsa. Look at him with his cannon arms and shit. I mean, this is his Zord form, but still, really cool. Though Alpha 1 was a great warrior, he was eventually ambushed and presumed dead, and it took him a long while to repair and find his way back to Zordon, by which time Alpha 5 was already in the picture. now made and programmed as a protector and assistant and not a warrior. Alpha 1 fights alongside the Rangers for a long time until their philosophy of never escalate a battle unless Rita forces you comes into conflict with his kill anything that stands in your way without mercy or hesitation. And that's a quote. He has a mental breakdown and ultimately tries to kill Zordon and take his place as a less compassionate and cowardly, in his ideology, leader who would therefore be more effective. Again, his ideas, not mine, but he does kind of have a point. After being defeated by the Rangers, he self-destructs, but Zordon warns of his return as he's uploaded his consciousness somewhere. And he does return later in the Omega Rangers plot arc and proves to be equally formidable. In the end, however, he is decapitated by Trini. Boss move. We do not see an Alpha 2 or 3 in the comics, show, or movies, but this is a good time to talk about Alpha's many redesigns. The OG Alpha, who appears in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Episode 1, got an upgrade for the 1995 movie, where all his armor is like bulkier and shinier. This head kind of looks like a bobblehead to me. Then again, in the 1997 Turbo A Power Rangers movie, Alpha walks on with one notable and unexplained change. The lightning bolt on his chest, which for years has been curved to resemble the show's logo, is now centered and straight. After the movie, they kept this upgraded suit for the show, and I usually associate this suit with Alpha 6 because we only see Alpha 5 in this form for the movie and then 3 episodes of the Turbo series. Would it have made more sense for the suit to change specifically to match when it switches from Alpha 5 to Alpha 6? Of course. But then they couldn't have their shiny new suit in the movie, so logic be damned. In the 2017 movie, Alpha is shown as a much smaller robot with more of a gray color palette. While the red highlights are still there, they're darker. This more alien-looking design is made cuter by the addition of 2 large front-facing eyes or lights, as opposed to the traditional red eye track that Alpha is shown with. Alright, moving on to 4. In Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers Hog Day Afternoon 2-part finale, Rito and Goldar infiltrate the command center basement, which we never knew existed before, to place a bomb. In a box, we see parts of a dismantled, or possibly destroyed, Alpha, and this is presumed to be what is left of Alpha 4. Then we have Alpha 6, the latest and greatest in a long line of Alphas, if he doesn't say so himself, who, behind the scenes, was really just a ratings grab upgrade of the same character. What if we got a shiny new suit and made him rude? The answer? People will hate him. They changed Alpha's classic catchphrase from "ay ay ay" to "yo yo yo."
What a complete catastrophe!
Alpha 6 stays with the Rangers after the destruction of the power chamber and travels with them to space, where they become the In-Space Rangers. He was damaged during the destruction of the power chamber, mainly his voice chip. It's almost like him being rude and having a New York accent wasn't working. This causes him to speak gibberish for the season 6 pilot until it is eventually repaired and a new voice selected. And along with the new voice comes a new personality. And sure, maybe his near-death experience made him realize he should be nicer, but no matter how much the show tried to make it seem like he was Alpha 5, I refuse to forget and forgive. The crimes of Power Rangers Turbo are too great. Anyway, after the finale of Season 6, Alpha stays on their main base of operations, the Astro Megaship, along with its sentient computer, Deca. In Season 7, Lost Galaxy, the megaship is on display at a museum on the space station Terra Venture and is commandeered for a rescue mission by some would-be Rangers, or will-be Rangers. Alpha 6 ends up serving alongside the Lost Galaxy Rangers for their season as well, who like him enough to rescue him when the megaship is destroyed in the season finale. But not Deca. And let's be clear, Deca and Alpha are both sentient, and sure, it was easier to get him out. But come on, pop a flash drive in there and download her, or you just let her die. I mean, they don't like Alpha 6 that much, because they do shut him down and shove him in a box in a warehouse. Sentient. Alpha 6 returns for a crossover episode in Season 15, Operation Overdrive. This famous crossover is called Once a Ranger and features the return of 5 Rangers from 5 different previous teams, the leader of whom is Adam Park, the second ever Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. When in need of additional tech support, Adam leads them to a warehouse where they recover and reactivate Alpha 6. I mean, I guess I could see Kat or Justin shutting him down.
I'm sure you'll think of something.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hey, you guys ever seen a robot hurl?
Excuse me?
Well, you're about to if you don't cut it out with this mushy stuff.
He leaves with Adam at the end of this crossover to be an employee at his new dojo, and is never mentioned again in the show, though we do see Adam as a member of SPA, so I kind of wonder if Alpha 6 is off running Adam's dojo just by himself. Alpha 7 has little to no personality, which I guess is kind of what you would want after having to deal with 6's bull. He appears in a crossover episode of Season 10, Wild Force Forever Red, in which all of the previous season's Red Rangers team up. The in-space Red Ranger, Andros, arrives in a newly rebuilt Astro Megaship Mark II with a new Alpha 7. Deca is not mentioned. Alpha 8. The tragic tale of Alpha 8. Appearing in the 2023 Once and Always Netflix special, he is the first Alpha not to be made on Edenoi. Alpha 8 was made by Billy Cranston with Cranston Tech's resources, and his design harkens back to Alpha 5 with the curved lightning bolt, back to the Alpha who was Billy's friend. Alpha 8 assists Billy in his own recreation of the power chamber hidden under Cranston Tech. Billy is trying to bring Zordon back to life, but instead summons the particles of Rita's evil. Originally dispelled by the Z-Wave back in 1998, he pulls them in from all corners of the galaxy, and after breaking free from the time warp, New Blue Tube, she takes over Alpha 8's body, erasing him from existence and becoming Robo-Rita. His last on-screen words are, "Billy, you have to get back." It's really, really messed up. You know, we all talk about how Rita finally accomplished something by killing Trini, but that was not the only person she killed that day. Now, I get Billy being upset over Trini's death, but that wasn't his fault. She chose to jump in front of him and take the blow. This was totally his fault, and he never mentions it. Alpha 9 is the only one to express grief or compassion over the fate of his predecessor. In the time Rita is absent, Billy builds Alpha 9, who has his 15 seconds of fame when he activates the Bandora protocol, alerting all Ranger teams across the galaxy to the return of Rita Repulsa. As you may know, Bandora was the name of Rita Repulsa's Japanese counterpart from Zyuranger. It's a cute little Easter egg for those fans who enjoy trivia. I find it really interesting that they typically wait until an Alpha has died before building the next one, and it took them thousands of years to get up to the number 9. And the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers really sped that up. But it's also not a requirement, because it kind of seems like Alpha 5 gets Alpha 6 made just so the Rangers won't have to go without an Alpha when he moves to Eltar. And since we know that Alpha 6 was not destroyed before Andros went off and got version 7, because he's seen in the end of Lost Galaxy before Forever Red, and then again in Operation Overdrive's crossover episode, which takes place after Forever Red. This does give me a little bit of hope that they didn't just build new Alphas because Alpha 5 was destroyed in the battle on Eltar, though it is weird that we never see him again because he was friends with the Mighty Morphin team, so why doesn't he visit? Honorable mention to Alpha 55, who isn't canon to the show but does appear in Power Rangers HyperForce, which is a tabletop podcast which is run by a number of actors who are in the show. I'd love to see a fan skit of the surviving Alphas just swapping stories. You know, Alpha 6 has gone back to his Brooklyn accent and he's just snarky. Alpha 7 has nothing to say because he has no personality. And Alpha 9's traumatized because the only reason Billy made him is because his predecessor got killed. Then Alpha 3 walks in. Ooh, what's his story? Anyway, that's what we know about Alphas 1 through 9, or what we know about Alphas 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and please comment who's your favorite Alpha and why. He's originally from a planet called Wow. This is gonna go so well, I can already tell. Cranston, Texas.